When Pastor Lorenzo Sewell gave his electrifying speech at the Republican National Convention this summer,
President Trump came to a church that is in a Democratic stronghold.
he wasn't just speaking to the party faithful in Milwaukee.
He came to a church to listen to average, everyday Americans like you and like me.
He was also sending a message to his home city of Detroit. Simply put, Donald Trump is the best choice for African Americans. After all, Trump came to Sewell's church in the city's west side, what the pastor describes as the hood.
People said, Trump, Trump. And I got a little nervous because they don't shout Jesus like that, you see? So
It's called Church 180, the name symbolizing its mission to turn lives around and maybe presidential campaigns too.
If you go beyond this church, if we walk down the street, what would people be saying about Donald Trump?
well, people have been inundated with lies that Donald Trump is the boogeyman. People have been inundated with false truths that he's a threat to democracy. But he came to this church. And when President Donald Trump came to the church, he did what no Republican has ever done since I was born. So if you travel around this community and you ask people, did you know that President Trump actually came to a church in your community? You showed them that round table in the RNC speech, they're gonna be encouraged. And they're gonna say, wow, at least he came.
Traditionally, African American voters here in Detroit overwhelmingly support the Democratic candidate. So could Donald Trump actually be on the verge of a major breakthrough? Like so much else in politics ahead of Election Day, it depends on who you ask. Are you willing to say who you're going to vote for?
Absolutely. I'm voting for Camilla.
Same. We're all rooting for Kamala Harris right now. You know, once upon a time, I was for Trump, but he's just gotten out of control. I don't know if it's, you know, the age that, I don't know. It's just not, the things that he say doesn't add up.
Yeah, the mudslinging and the, defamatory rhetoric, I'm just not with that. It's just taking us from the real issues.
Is there anything you think for you or your friends that might make you think about voting for Donald Trump?
Donald Trump, you know, to be truthful, he's not a bad guy because he speaks up what's on his mind. But, so you know exactly where he's coming from, you know, but the economy was not bad when Donald Trump was president. He's right about that. I can't fault him for that. It's just that I can't get with the abortion thing. I can't, too many females in my family, you know, that are against that.
The policies that may come out of one of the other candidate could be strikingly different, dramatically different for Canadians. It might.
But political reporter Ken Coleman points out Trump isn't trying to win over the majority of black Michigan residents. He only needs a few.
Donald Trump in 2016 won Michigan by 10,000 votes. And so I think the strategy is, as I talk to Trump supporters, even some of whom are African American, they know that most African Americans aren't going to vote for Donald Trump. But if he can sway 5,000 or 10,000, maybe in Detroit proper, and Flint, and Battle Creek, other urban areas, maybe 5,000 or 10,000 in each one of those cities, it might be just enough to win Michigan.
April Anderson is a Harris loyalist. The vice president even visited her shop, Good Cakes and Bakes, leading up to the last election. Anderson will enthusiastically list all the reasons she and other African Americans should support Harris, and yet some of her own family are pro-Trump.
You said you have 7 relatives who are going to vote for Trump? Why?
Yes. Again, they're young, African American, and they believe that Trump gave them money during the pandemic. They believe that, and they believe that when he gets back in office, he's going to do it again. They believe that when he gets back in office, that the ones who vote with the stock market believes that the stock market is going to be better when he gets in office. It's all financial gain is all they're looking at.
Harris may have another problem. Despite the warm reception during her visits to Michigan, she could be facing an obstacle no campaign stop can overcome.
There is a gender gap. There are African American men here in Detroit and other spaces in our state who aren't really comfortable with a woman as president. There are some who aren't ready for an African American woman to be president, U.S. president, let alone Detroit mayor. Unlike a lot of American major cities, we've never had a black woman as mayor in a town that is largely Democratic, and the biggest, sort of the biggest gender and ethnic group within that Democratic Party base are black women. That's the irony.
Just over 2 weeks to voting day, the race in Michigan is too close to call, according to political analysts. But Pastor Sewell is eager to share his prediction.
I believe that people are going to see Michigan turn red. I believe that people are going to see the silent majority. They're going to see black Americans make a decision to come off of the Democratic plantation, that they're going to be free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, we will be free at last.
We talked to some people who aren't happy with the status quo, but also aren't comfortable voting for Donald Trump. If they don't vote at all, that lack of turnout could also affect a race that is so close.